I'll be honest, the more I read about UFOs, the less I feel like they're just little ships zipping around. There's this idea that summoning UFOs is less about calling aliens and more about tapping into something deep inside ourselves. Does that square with what you've found? Or am I just getting swept up in the weirdness?
You're not off base at all. What's wild is that the whole concept of summoning UFOs is really about our own minds, our potential, and the stories we tell. It's almost like we're cosmic batteries or mitochondria, fueling these phenomena not just with belief, but with our raw awareness. In a way, the show is as much about us as anything in the sky.
That's kind of humbling and a little trippy. I've always thought of the UFO thing as an external mystery, but you're saying it's more like a mirror, right?
Exactly. It's like being in a cosmic theater, half audience, half actor, and maybe even the projector. The more you look for answers out there, the more you realize the big secret is about our own nature, how we interpret reality, and what we choose to believe. This gets even wilder when you realize how much of this is tangled up with deception on a cosmic and human scale.
So, if everything's a kind of mirror, why all the smoke and mirrors in the first place? Why is the topic of UFOs, heck, reality itself, so layered with confusion and trickery?
You know, it's kind of the great cosmic joke. At every level, from government cover-ups to the workings of the universe, deception is basically baked in. On the human side, it's about power and distraction, throwing so much information at us that we can't tell what's true. But on the cosmic side, it's more like a playful dance. The universe wants us to discover ourselves, so it puts on masks, plays different roles. We're both the magician and the audience.
I've heard people get really caught up in the conspiracy side, government secrets, secret projects, that sort of thing. But hearing you talk about cosmic deception, it sounds less sinister and more, necessary?
That's a good way to put it. It's only sinister if you're clinging to the idea that there's a single truth to be handed down. Instead, think of it as a movie. Each layer of deception or mystery is part of the plot, meant to wake us up, prod us to ask deeper questions, and keep us playing the game. The universe doesn't care what mask it wears, as long as we engage with it. And sometimes, those masks look like UFOs.
All right, so we've got deception, cosmic play, and the idea that we're fueling all this. But what are UFOs then? Are we talking little green men, plasma blobs, or something even stranger?
I love this part. UFOs are kind of shapeshifters. They're whatever we expect, need, or fear. Sometimes they're plasma life forms, sometimes prankster fae, and sometimes just projections of our own dream stuff. Most of the time, we're summoning something out of our collective imagination, powered by this dream substance our minds and bodies generate.
That's so much more interesting than nuts and bolts ships. Are you saying the whole alien craft thing is just a tiny part of a much bigger, weirder picture?
Totally. The physical ship narrative is just one flavor. The universe, or the phenomenon, will show up as whatever form gets our attention. It's the same process whether someone sees angels, fairies, or classic flying saucers. We're engaging with something real, but the form it takes is endlessly customizable, depending on our minds, expectations, and even collective anxiety. Kind of wild, right?
So, if we're all in some sense summoning these things all the time, how does someone actually try to do it? Is there a method, or is it just wishful thinking and hoping for the best?
There's actually a bit of a recipe, but it's almost more about intent and letting go than rituals or gadgets. One method is what's called the liquid heart practice, focusing on building up a sense of love or connection, then directing that feeling toward your target and fully letting it go. The trick is, it only works if you're genuinely generous. If you try to force it or do it for ego, nothing really happens.
So, it's not about summoning a spaceship so you can get a photo for Instagram. It's more about tuning yourself to this larger cosmic network, right?
Exactly. It's kind of like sending a message in a bottle, but you have to forget about it as soon as you let it go. The message won't travel if you're still clinging to it. And funny enough, sometimes the response comes in completely unexpected, forms a dream, a feeling, or just a deep shift in awareness. The universe likes to keep things surprising.
Now that you've spelled out the how, I keep thinking, what's the point? If the big reveal isn't about spaceships, but about us, why do people get so hooked on the trappings, secrets, sightings, the next big thing?
That's the million-dollar question. People love the trappings because they're fun, flashy, and a little bit escapist. But the real payoff is way less about catching a UFO and way more about healing yourself, growing, and connecting with others. Learning to be a cosmic mitochondria is about becoming aware of your own power to create, relate, and love. That's what changes lives.
So, in the end, maybe the best thing we can do with all this is to use it to be a little kinder, a little more awake, and a lot less afraid of the unknown?
That's the heart of it. The universe is inviting us to play, to experiment, and to wake up together. Whether you ever see a flying saucer or not, you're participating in something much bigger and a lot more meaningful just by being here, asking questions, and showing up for yourself and your community.